Yeah, can you kind of tell me what's been going on?
So this week's been super busy. I saw a lot of patients
Okay.
in my internship, and my husband's been working a lot. We had our friends just moved up to Boise, so we're spending a lot of time with them.
Okay.
We're both working a lot. My husband works a full-time job and then a part-time job, and then I go to school. So it's just been super busy this week.
Okay. All right. So I'm hearing that you've had a really busy week. Can you kind of tell me more about the two jobs and your husband and you doing school and internship?
Yeah, so my husband, when I got accepted to graduate school, he was just like, well, looks like I'm going to have to get two jobs, which is so awesome of him, and I love him for that. So he went ahead and got two jobs, and I decreased my workload because school was kind of bogging me down, so he's been doing that, and he's really tired, so he works 5 a.m. to 3, and then he works at his second job 5 to 10. So
Wow.
his days are pretty long.
Yeah, that does sound long. So it sounds like you have a really supportive husband
Yeah.
for you,
Mhm.
who is kind of willing to sacrifice some own things so that you can get through school.
Yeah, no, he's great. And we kind of support each other. So, I mean, we work at the same place. So if he's kind of having a hard week with the holiday season coming in, I'll be like, hey, I'll take this shift for you, and then he'll take a shift for me if I'm sick or have a paper going on or something.
Good.
So, yeah, we kind of support each other. We just really haven't had a lot of time together is kind of the problem.
Okay. So can you, just so I can understand kind of what that looks like, can you tell me more about having trouble spending time with him?
Yeah, so we basically don't see each other Monday through Friday except 30 minutes before we go to bed because of the way our schedules work. And then on the weekends, we have usually a day or a day and half a day together. And we usually spend that time like doing an at-home date night, or we'll go to dinner or something, which I really kind of look forward to
Sure.
during the week. But last weekend we didn't do that, so that was kind of frustrating.
Okay. So was there a time before the two jobs started and school started that you had more time together?
Yeah, so before I started graduate school, we're kind of best friends, and so we'd hang out every day, and we'd always do like a fun activity every day or go for a walk, and so it's just like a big lifestyle change,
Right.
for us.
Okay, so what I kind of hear from you is that there was a lot of time spent, and now he's taken on a second job to help get you through school, and you're really busy too, and so that time has really decreased between the two of you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're kind of just feeling like we don't have enough time together, but he's kind of feeling like his time off, he would really like to practice some self-care and play some video games. But kind of the conflict that happens is when he wants to do that, I kind of want to hang out because we don't get a lot of time together.
Right.
But he's kind of like, well, this is how I need to relax and,
Okay.
just chill for a minute.
I see. So I kind of hear that maybe the incongruence maybe a little bit between what you are hoping to spend together on your day off, and what he's hoping to do on his
Right.
day off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's hard too because I acknowledge his need for self-care because I need that too. But he's kind of my self-care, and I don't know if I'm really his, and so I'm just kind of wondering why I can't be his on the weekends.
Sure. Yeah, I can see how that would be a kind of a difficult emotion to try to wrap your head around. So have you spoken with your husband about this?
Yeah, we talk about it a lot.
Okay.
And I'll bring it up quite a bit, but then he usually will get off his video games, but then I feel like he resents me for that because all of his friends will get on at one time.
Okay.
And that's really hard, I guess, to have so many people on at one time. And so he'll be like, well, my friends are on, and I'll be like, well, we haven't seen each other for a week, and so he'll get off because he feels guilty, and then I feel like he resents me for that and doesn't have like a good time with me. Like he usually does after a few minutes, but I'm just feel bad.
Right. So you're kind of feeling like you have to ask him to give up something that he's doing to spend time with you, possibly?
Yeah, and I'm kind of like, why do I have to ask you for that? You know? Like, why isn't that just kind of something you want to do? Because it's something I want to do.
Right. So. Okay, yeah, I can see that would be kind of a hard thing to struggle with for any married couple, especially someone who might be going through kind of a transition in their lives and working towards a goal like you are. So when you do spend time with your husband after maybe the video games are put away and you're able to spend time together, is there like a feeling of connection that comes after that?
Usually. Most times there is, but sometimes it's kind of hard because he'll get off his video games and then we'll just kind of lay in bed and watch TV, and he's kind of like, why did I get off my video game to lay in bed and watch TV kind of thing. But we don't have a lot of money to go out, and so we can't do that.
Okay.
But then I come back with, well, if we want to do something fun, like, why don't me and you kind of think of something fun to do? Right. But then he's kind of like, well, I'm not creative and I don't know what to do other than like watch a movie, and then we just lay in bed and watch a movie.
Okay. All right. So I'm kind of hearing that makes you feel maybe a little bit frustrated. Is there any frustration that kind of comes along with that?
It's frustration, but it also feels almost like rejection a little bit, because it's like, I feel just kind of needy, you know? I feel kind of like, just needy, emotionally needy, and it's hard to know, like, is this normal? Is this not normal? Am I like...
Right. You know? Okay. So can I summarize this just so I make sure I'm getting this right? So you're feeling like the time between you two is very limited, and so when you have to ask your husband to spend time with you, you're feeling kind of this anxiety around having to ask him to get off, and then when he does, maybe that he's resenting you, and that you are kind of put in this position of having to be the needy person.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's kind of, that's pretty much exactly it. So I don't ever want to ask him to hang out with me. I just kind of wanted him to ask me, or have it just be a neutral kind of thing.
So maybe like him taking the reins and realizing maybe that you, without you having to ask.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't know, most of this is just like, why aren't you like me? You know, that's kind of how I feel, like, why aren't you experiencing similar emotions to me if we're going through kind of a similar experience?
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. And so when you say, why aren't your emotions like mine, what do you mean by that for his circumstance?
Like, well, I guess I just kind of wonder, like, why don't you feel like sad that we aren't spending a lot of time together? Okay. Like, why aren't you kind of like lonely? You know?
Sure, yeah. Okay, so you're kind of maybe wondering, I'm feeling like I need you to be in my life, and I feel lonely when you're not there, and why aren't you also feeling that when you're away from me?
Yeah.
Possibly?
Yeah, and I've brought that up to him before, and he has kind of been like, well, you don't give me the opportunity to be lonely from you because you always want to hang out and you always want to, you know what I mean? So he's like, I don't really have an opportunity to ask you even to hang out because you're always the first one to do it.
Oh, okay. So then when that's said, how do you interpret that or internalize that? How does that make you feel?
So I thought that I would feel like, again, like rejected and hurt by that, but it kind of makes a little more sense to me when he says that. I'm like, yeah, he's right. You know, I probably don't give him, because it's like the moment he wakes up and I'm like, hey, want to hang out? Want to go do something? And he's like, he never gets that chance to initiate that.
Okay, all right. So you are kind of the first to always be there and to always ask. Mm-hmm. And so maybe giving him a chance, is that maybe what would, if he was given a chance to maybe reciprocate first or ask first?
Yeah, I mean, I've tried that before, I feel like, and then he kind of didn't ask and had like a great time playing video games while I was just kind of waiting, but I didn't wait long. I waited like an hour and it didn't happen, and I was like, okay, he's not going to ask, you know.
Okay, and then that's when you needed to kind of step back in and say, hey, what about spending time together?
Right.
Okay. And so then the time that you are alone and your husband's playing video games, how does that make you feel?
If I'm not doing something like homework or watching a show I like, I'll get kind of anxious and really bored.
Okay.
And my husband says it's because I don't have a hobby. And that I need to hang out with my friends more. He's like, that's why you get so anxious and bored, you know.
And what do you think about that opinion?
I don't know. There's probably some truth to it because I don't really have a hobby. And I don't hang out with my friends as much as I should because I like to stay home. I think there is some truth to that. And too, like I was gonna say, my husband with his video games, like that's his social time too, on top of his hobby. Like that's when him and his friends hang out online, you know?
Okay.
So he's missing that socialization from his friends and his hobby time.
When he spends time with you?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So then him bringing up maybe a need for a hobby or spending more time with friends, is that something that you would consider, or is it really you're looking for the one-on-one time with your husband?
So before graduate school started, I had like no problem spending time with his friends and playing video games because I know that's his hobby and that's what he likes to do. Like we really didn't have this issue until graduate school. But now that I'm in graduate school, yes, I do want that one-on-one time. And I don't know, I guess like my question is like, is this like controlling behavior on my part?
Okay. So what I'm hearing you saying is that you're worried that possibly you wanting the attention of your husband and maybe feeling like you're spending less time, that maybe that's more of a controlling aspect coming from you?
Yeah, exactly. So and that kind of scares me a little bit, that I could be like a controlling spouse.
Sure, yeah. That is definitely something that worries a lot of people and that couples really do have to struggle with. Yeah. So when you have this feeling of worried about being controlling, has your husband said anything about that?
Yeah, he says that I shouldn't feel that way.
Okay.
Because I'm not.
Okay, so he doesn't see that.
No, he doesn't. I just feel that way.
Okay. I see. So the controlling aspect then, that you might feel worried is coming from you. It's not, he doesn't see that as part of a
No.
relationship. Okay.
No, he doesn't, but I don't know if he's aware of what that looks like, you know? I'm like, maybe you don't know, like, what the signs look like, so you don't know. Like,
Okay.
but, yeah. I mean, I guess, like, if he's not seeing it and he's not feeling controlled, then it's probably not the reality of the
Right.
situation.
Okay. So then maybe what you're feeling is this feeling that you might have of being of having to be kind of controlling of your husband might maybe be stemming just from the anxiety of spending less time with him?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Definitely.
Sure.
But I mean, we're working on it, and I'm hoping that with graduate school ending, it will kind of go back to normal, and this is just like a temporary time. So.
Right, right. Yeah, I can definitely see that, especially with, it seems like you're a really hard worker and your husband is very supportive and seems like he's a very hard worker, and this is just going to be a short time span in your life
Yeah.
where this will be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Good, okay. Well, Antonia, I'm really, really glad that you came and spoke with me this week. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap things up?
Not that I can think of.
Okay. So just so that I can, before we really wrap things up, to make sure that I got the whole picture of everything, so we can start off next week. For this week, you're just kind of feeling a little bit anxious of things surrounding your husband, with him working 2 jobs and you going to school. And there's kind of this feeling of anxiety not spending time with him, and you're kind of worried that maybe you asking him to constantly spend time with you on the days off is maybe a controlling aspect that you're worried about.
Right.
Okay, but he hasn't said anything and he doesn't see that controlling aspect coming from you. Okay. So I think that's that's definitely something that we can work more on next week and talk more about. And is there anything else?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, all right. Well, great.
Great, thanks.
You're welcome.